You've been working with new Muslims for a long time, and you've definitely heard so many complaints, I can say, from them. What's the main complaint from the new Muslim that you hear? Something that's often recurring, or you can find it's common among new Muslims.
Okay, so if we were to specifically address that question about the complaints from them, then it is basically about, not being able to fit in a sense that, okay, I don't have friends now to hang out and do fun activities, right? And then the second thing is basically about, there's a lot of expectations. A lot of things that I used to do are haram, and people are judging me for that. Right, and then, being basically, okay, this is haram, you're doing this, your job, your girlfriend, you're smoking, your tattoo, what have you. The third thing is, when I walk in, people start correcting me or giving me, strange looks. Okay, then the fourthly is basically about, which should not happen, right? I mean, just if we had the good manners of Islam, right, some of them would be like, okay, false promises, Muslim lying, Muslim not working properly in the society, and maybe taking some of them, not all of them, but this really highlights to them, the culture, right? Okay, taking benefits from the society, not contributing back, or talking bad about the culture or politics, or having strange stereotypes about the non-Muslims. Oh, white people are like this, or black people are like this, and a regular 9-to-5 Muslim may say something like that and not realize that this is where the person is coming from. This is who their family is and who their friends are.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. With regards to the lying and not keeping your words, have you had any encounters with new Muslims who have specifically given you examples of this? To be honest, as a new Muslim myself, living amongst Muslims, I think it's just literally, you can go back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said that you might be passing by a town towards the Day of Judgment, and you'll find you won't find a person that you can trust, right?
Yes. So basically I had specifically one person, subhanAllah, and because I've been mashallah mentoring him from remotely, and he was in the US, and a lot of people like, okay brother, I'll pick you up for the masjid, inshallah, tomorrow we'll go, I'll pick you up, this and that, and then they won't show up, right? So that's one example of it. And then obviously he was dealing with some Muslim employers, salary issues and things like that. So these are just basic things which are haram and should not even happen in the first place, regardless of Muslim, non-Muslim. But from a perspective of dawah, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا أَيْمَانَكُمْ دَخَلًا بَيْنَكُمْ فَتَزِلَّ قَدَمٌ بَعْدَ ثُبُوتِهَا, right? There's a specific emphasis is that not to do things that will basically deter someone from the path of Allah and, cause somebody to slip from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these things definitely exist. That's just from that angle. Now, obviously, if you were to allow me, then there are two other segments of the society which are also, contributing to the cause of new Muslim, leaving Islam. And again, as you mentioned, we're not talking about the solutions, but just identifying the different roles within the society, if you will.
MashaAllah. Fadl, go ahead. Anything else that you want to add to that?
Sure. So, okay, first thing I would definitely like to point out, and I was trying to listen and make sure that, I don't become redundant. I think first of the thing you need to realize that this is a light, it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, faith for myself, for a new Muslim, for a non-Muslim, for anyone else, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not unjust. On the other hand, He is very, very merciful. So if you start losing that light, or if the light starts decreasing in you, fundamentally, to be very bitter or very clear and, brutally honest, it is a problem with yourself, right? If your faith is going down, it's a problem with yourself because it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, at the same time, part of our iman as a Muslim is also, basically, if you take simple stuff from Surah Al-Asr, right? It's your own iman, it's your amal al-salihat, your own righteous deed. And from a community perspective, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So we have to remind and encourage and advise each other, right? So the point being now, am I doing my full responsibility towards others? So basically, if you think about it, it comes down to three stages. One is the new Muslim himself or herself. And then the second area is the people who are, involved in da'wah. And Shaykh Tim Humble, from what I heard, really, raised that point about from a da'wah team perspective. And then the third is the general community. So if I were to step back, from a perspective of the person, the individual, at the end of the day, it's his or her ownership as well. That look, I have now found my Lord. I've found the path to my Lord. It's my individual responsibility to gradually grow towards that. And now we are living in an age that every problem can be solved, in the sense that if you have any problem, any social problem, you can go online and you can find solutions and tips and webinars and so on and so forth. So what can I do to consistently increase my faith? And these are things like, I would probably say about like, if you want to change your nutrition, your body, your workout routine, it's common things, have good company. Again, we don't want to talk about solution, but the point is, what is the individual doing to help himself or herself to keep that, that faith life? Just like, you are responsible for finding a charger for your phone, right? And you try to find a charger for your phone. If you're traveling, you would carry that, adapter, converters, and what have you, or ask the hotel, hey, do you have a converter for me so I can charge my phone? So you have to keep charging your, faith, or feeding your soul and what have you. So that's the individual's responsibility. The second thing, from a dawah perspective or the du'a's perspective, they really have to go back and think, what is my motive here? Why am I doing dawah? Is the end goal to connect people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or is it just for me to get shahada, or is it just for me to debate, or just for me to show some intellectual argument? Because if the end goal is to connect people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you may have to do the boring things as well, right? Because if you have a startup and you say, okay, I only like to do technical stuff, then, and you cannot afford to hire an accountant, you will have to become the accountant, even if it's boring to you. So if the post-shahada stuff is boring to you and there's nobody taking care of it, you have to take care of your shahada, because a lot of people, 99% of the people after shahada, they go back to living as they were living, and may Allah forgive us and protect us all, they die as non-Muslims and live as non-Muslims, even they have taken the shahada. So the da'i needs to think about it. So from a da'i perspective, there are a couple of things like, first and foremost, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says repeatedly in Quran, إنما أنت مذكر, فذكر إنما أنت مذكر, that remind, because you are only a reminder. So, and that, the reminder benefits the believers and so on and so forth. So if you're not reminding after shahada, it's like you're just leaving the field open for shaitan. He's going to come and snatch all the effort that you did, the flyers, the debates, the training, it's all gone. And then the third thing, obviously, is from our community perspective, they need to understand, what is Islam, what is culture, what is more important, what is less important. There are people who are put into, WhatsApp groups where people are talking about toothpaste ingredients. And is insurance halal or haram? The brother does not pray. He is not even motivated to pray. And you're talking about toothpaste ingredients. So, that community, like they're talking to like the guy taking shadow, is he going to change his name or circumcision? So they don't have the understanding. So the first thing is you need to realize that, okay, look, I don't know this field. So let me be very careful about not doing the dawah here. No amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar here. I don't have to correct them. Let me find someone who can take care of them. So this is basically what I would say in a nutshell, in these three stages. And finally, two more things I would mention with your permission, inshallah. Look at the Surah Abas, right? How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually corrected and advised the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was prioritizing the da'wah to an influential non-Muslim over taking care of a new Muslim, the Sahabi, if you were to say, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala corrected him, look, that person, the Sahabi, the blind companion, radiallahu anhu, he was more worthy of your attention than this influential non-Muslim. And then if you were to talk about the concept of, okay, how much resources and time should I spend in, proactive da'wah to non-Muslim versus taking care of new Muslim, again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in, Surah At-Tawbah, that it's not for the believers to march forth, all together. So that is basically, any sort of proactive stuff, if you will, but for a party of them to remain behind, learn the deen, and, warn each other and advise each other and so on and so forth. So, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of these framework and guidances that are, mentioned there, in which we need to now reflect and keep thinking, what are we doing? Is it working or not working? Are our resources appropriately coordinated, or is there an imbalance here, inshallah?
MashaAllah. Barakallah fiqh, brother. Just a question. There's some statistics that show that about 60% of those who take the Shahada bounce back or leave Islam. Have you seen anything, or what do you think from your experience? Is that true or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, from my experiences, brother, it's like way above 95%, 99%, right? And it will be higher because, you know, the coming into Islam is easy, right? You know, it's very logical. You can explain to someone, you know, it depends on what you count, you know, you consider a shahada too, but, you know, from a mental agreement, you know, intellectual or heart agreement, it's very easy to do, right? But then are you really understanding that, you know, when I'm saying La ilaha illallah, Allah is the only one worthy of my full submission and my full love, then what are you submitting to? Okay, so I need to know about Allah, who Allah is, what does He want me to do, and so on and so forth, right? So you may, for example, you know, hypothetically speaking, let's say you found a business book. Hey, you know, if I want to make money, this is the go-to book I need to do, right? So I get it intellectually, but if I'm not reading the book, and if I'm not starting to take action on the book, I'm not going to make money, and nothing is going to happen, and I'm just going to close the book. And this is what happens, right? I mean, how many people keep buying the books on, you know, weight loss and energy and, you know, fitness and all that, but they don't do anything about it. So again, you know, individual, the da'i who can remind them, be a coach, be a mentor, and then the community.
Barakallah fiqh, brother Zubair, Coach Zubair, for your contribution, inshallah. Hopefully you can be part of the solution, which will be probably in 2 weeks, inshallah, another live broadcast. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.